If These Walls Could Talk. I'm Wendy Stuart.
And I'm Tym Moss. Hi.
We are so happy to be with you here today. Tim, are we comfy?
I'm comfy.
Do I need to?
Comfy?
Am I good where I am? But I'm losing.
She remembered it's Valentine's Day today.
Oh my God, I'm losing my tool over Valentine's Day.
I'm single. I completely forgot. I wore green.
Right,
Sorry.
but you know what? We also thought that we could use this as like everyone had a great time during Christmas. We have fond memories.
Yes.
So we have
red
and green, or you know what? Green could be the stem on the roses.
And we've also got St. Patrick's Day coming up sometime.
March 17th.
Okay.
Oh, I think it's March 17th. All
right,
it is. But Tim's
early.
Tim, you're ready for every holiday.
I am.
That's Tym Moss. He's ready for every holiday. How have you been, my love?
Oh my goodness, I'm good, but just been busy. I had to pull up my schedule to see what all I did this last week. I mean, see, last week in one day I had lunch with Michael Musto, and then I had an appointment at the urologist.
How did that go?
Well, pretty
good. Was it a
that
positive urologist? We talk about everything here.
It was great, but that was the closest I've had to getting lucky in a while.
Right, I figured. I was going to say it, but I figured Tim would say it first.
And then I went and got my hair styled and cut by Mark Dialis.
Right, and how can people find Mark now? They can
go online. Go online and find him. Yeah, he had moved locations, but it's still available. Everything online is updated, but please go to Mark Dialis. I love him.
Yeah, he's great.
He's incredible. He's cut a lot of celebrities' hair, and
Tim can always connect you with him. You know, you can find us all on social media.
Reach out to me.
Mark is just amazing. Well,
also it's Fashion Week,
right?
And
let's talk about the most fabulous fashion thing I think that happened to us was the Chulo underwear show. Oh my God, be still my heart. We had Ricardo from Chulo Underwear actually on the show.
Yep.
And that was like over a year ago, I think.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's been a while.
And his motto is feel good, look good.
Yeah.
Well, talk about feel good.
Put your culo in a chulo.
Right. Put your culo in a chulo. You can only imagine. Ricardo did not disappoint.
Oh my God.
The models,
gorgeous,
they're gorgeous,
Latin, muscly models, and only walking around in their underwear,
right,
up and down the catwalk. It was heaven.
It was heaven, and you know what? He doesn't like call up a model agency and ask for. These are like normal, great-looking guys that work out in the gym or they take pride in their body, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the women too. You know, they have great bodies. They're not straight up and down bodies. They're bodies, beautiful bodies. And
the one thing that I love about Ricardo and Chulo Underwear is all the money that comes in goes right back into the community.
It's amazing.
He's very, very, he's always done that for all the years I've known him.
Right.
And so he's it's always a beneficiary that benefits from it. And I think this was a college fund this year.
He was doing a college fund this year. That's right. And there was also, you can find Chulo Underwear on Instagram. There's a calendar too. Did you get the calendar?
Yeah. No, I've seen the calendar.
Do you have it?
No, I don't.
Oh my God, I need to have the calendar. It would make me look forward to each day
each month
with such anticipation, right? So I did something really fabulous for me. I went to the Museum of Natural History because they have this amazing exhibit on elephants. And for those of you who don't know, I worked in a place called Elephant Stay as a volunteer taking care of elephants, right? So I love that the museum has gotten behind how important elephants are, why we need to make sure they're still around. But they also emphasize you can't save elephants unless you save the people. And that was a very big part of the exhibit. And then I followed that up the following night with Kim Frank, who's working in India with Asian elephants as well. And same kind of thing, helping the people. Once you help the people, then you can help the elephants. And my God, the elephants are extraordinary. They're just extraordinary. Their memories are, you know, when they say an elephant never forgets, boy.
Right. And they mate for life too.
Yeah, and they mate for life. They're very family conscious. So let's give a shout out. Trunks up for the elephant, for all of the elephants out there.
Yeah, and also during Fashion Week this week, I went down to art. It's called Art Fashion Gallery down on the Lower East Side, and it's owned by Patricia Field.
Love it.
It was a wonderful event, and I interviewed Patricia, and she's going to be coming on our show in a few weeks.
That.
I love her. She's an amazing, and such an original designer, original fashion designer. But yes, I love Pat.
And right, we love Patricia. And for those of you that don't know her from New York, although everyone knows her, all of those great styles you saw on Sex and the City,
that was all
came
Patricia
from
Field.
Pat Field. I'm excited that you got to interview her.
Yeah, she's so cool.
She's a regular gal.
Well, she's a regular Lower East Side girl, you know. And I was telling her, you know, we've had like Penny Arcade and Scooter's going. I have to reach out to Scooter. Yeah. But yeah, we've just had so many from here on the Lower East Side and in the East Village. This is just such a historic part of the city. It's got such rich history with the arts down here. So
this is totally where it's at. The Imperial Court of New York, I always give a shout out. Actually, it's a nationwide LGBTQ that gives back, right?
Another one.
Everything they raise goes to help. I was always saying LGBTQ plus organizations, but you know what? They do a ton of work in nursing homes. Nursing homes all over. So
good.
You know what? At the end of the day, this is what it's all about.
Giving back. Absolutely.
March 23rd is our night of 1,000 gowns. If you need information on how to get tickets for that, you can certainly reach out to me. Tim and I are approachable. We're like, you can find us. And you know what? We're talking so much today about
giving back.
That's
our theme today.
It's giving back. And also it's Valentine's Day. It's about love. Okay. And our guest today is really about love and giving back, from personal mission to team effort. What happens when an Emmy nominated editor, director, and writer, and formerly actor, right, is commuting 3 hours a day on a film shoot, and all of a sudden his Waze sends him on a shorter route, but to the areas in LA where all the unhoused live, right? And that is an eye opener. And you know what? He just had to do something about it. So he formed an amazing non-for-profit called Bags and Grace. And I'd like you all to give a warm welcome for Tom Provost.
Yay!
Thank you so much. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's to you.
Valentine's Day to you.
And Tim, I was going to say, as will come up, I'm a total film nerd, and I am Valentineless today as well.
Oh, okay. Will you be my Valentine?
Yes, indeed. And
I love
that.
I have a couple of friends where when we're Valentineless, we get together on Valentine's night and we watch anti-romantic movies like War of the Roses and Fatal Attraction.
Yes.
To feel better.
Yes. I would so be there with you.
Oh my God. But you know what? You brought up a good point, and we want to give a shout out. You know what? A lot of people, there's a lot of pressure connected with Valentine's Day. The commercialism, and if you don't have a significant other, my husband right now, he'll be okay, but he's in the hospital, right? And I went by there today, and I was very happy to see the staff. They all had little Valentines and accoutrements, and when I walked in, they said, "Happy Valentine's Day." Please, not everybody has a Valentine, so it's really nice to remember your friends. And Valentine's Day, right, should be for everybody. It should be about heart and having heart and flowers. And I love that the two of you just met here. Oh my God!
And we're Valentines.
Virtual Valentines.
Exactly.
So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tom,
we've got a lot to talk about.
Now you're an LA guy. Have you been there your whole life?
Not my whole life. I was born and raised in Texas. I grew up on the Gulf Coast of Texas near Galveston.
I've been in the Galveston area. I love it.
Yeah.
They have gambling boats. You can legally gamble there because it goes out. That's the Gulf of Mexico.
Yes, 100%. And so my hometown was Port Arthur. We're as close to Louisiana as we can get. In fact, my hometown is pretty much, we're all Cajun in my hometown and Catholic. So we're kind of like Louisiana. So I was born and raised there, and then went to school at the University of Texas in Austin. And being a film nerd, the day after I graduated college, I threw everything in the car and drove to LA and have been here ever since. So.
I love that.
But you know what? You were a great fit for LA too. Not everybody, some people come to New York. Obviously, you've been there ever since.
Yeah. Well, and when I graduated, I thought long enough, because my first 10, 12 years after college, I was acting 100%. So I was waiting tables also a lot of that time. But I thought long and hard about whether I was going to go to New York or LA. And I'd been to New York many times and loved it. But I was kind of more film oriented than theater oriented. And frankly, LA, at least then, was easier to live if you didn't have any money and were a starving actor. So LA won out, and I have loved it very much. I mean, if you're a film nerd, it's the place you want to be. So.
Oh God,
no, totally. Now you said a couple of times you're a film nerd. What does that mean to you, being a film nerd? Are you like obsessed? You grew up like watching films all the time?
Yes, completely obsessed. So my earliest memory as a child is sitting in the movie theater. It was a reissue of Lady and the Tramp, and so I'm a Disney freak and a movie freak, and I just remember thinking, that's what I want to do.
Nice.
From that moment on, my whole childhood, movies and books. My mom was a professor, and she taught my brother and I each to read by the time we were 3.
Wow.
So we read a lot also, but books and movies have just been my thing. And I was so affected personally in wonderful ways by stories and by films and books and TV that's then what I wanted to do. And so I knew as an early child, when I graduated college, I would throw everything in the car and places. Right.
So that's why. Go ahead.
No, just if you spend any time with me, as you will today, half of my references are going to be movies. I just love them. So yeah. And it used to be embarrassed about being a nerd, but no longer. Revenge of the Nerds, proud to be.
Oh my God, we love film. We're all like film nerds here as well. And I'm just sidetrack for 2 seconds. Before the show started, we were talking about horror films, and in particular, those ghost stories that are spine tingling. You did one of those films.
I did. I love ghost stories. I love scary movies. My mom and I love scary movies. My brother and my father hated them, and so we would often all go to the movies and split up. So I remember one vivid night we went to the Park Plaza 2 in my hometown, and my brother and my dad went to see Outlaw Josie Wales. I'm dating myself, and Mom and I went to see The Omen, which I guess was
The Omen.
It was the first R-rated movie I'd ever seen, and the only reason I got to go see it was we were Catholic, and our Monsignor was over for dinner 2 nights before. And he was going on about The Omen, and I kind of snuck in because they weren't going to let me see it. And I said, Monsignor, do you think I could see it? And he goes, he turned my parents. He said, Norman David, you must let this young man see The Omen. It's a fabulous movie, and it's very biblically accurate. So Mom and I go in there, and about halfway through the movie, I remember sitting there thinking, I'm going to wet my pants, and I wish I had never.
Are you kidding? Right? That was
terrifying.
It was great. It was really great. I love that Monsignor, though, was like on point with you guys going to see it. That it was biblically correct. See, I didn't know that, but you see, you learn something every day.
It was Monsignor Drouillet. He was a really wonderful man. But so that led to, I've always liked ghost stories, and so a few years ago when I was able to make my own movie independently, we raised some money and went out and made a low budget ghost story, and so it's called The Presence. You can rent it wherever. It's with Mira Sorvino and Shane West.
Oscar winner.
Yes,
she is. She is wonderful woman. Yeah. So we had a good time. Anyway,
and you did that film. It was an independent film. How did you go about raising money for it, and how long did it take for you to shoot it? Because was that your very first one?
It was my first one to do independently that way.
Right. And that's tough. How did you go about doing that?
I mean, I just approached everyone I'd ever met in my life for money, which for me, like a true Hollywood producer, that's what they love to do. For me, it was the most horrible. I'll never do it again.
Same here. Same here.
I'm going to do it again today. Asking people for money is not my favorite thing in the world, right?
Yep. But I have to do it later in the year too.
So we went out. It took about 2.5 years to raise the money. And then because it was a very specific location, it took about a year to find a place to shoot. And then, but the shoot was really quick. The shoot was only 3 weeks. It was a low budget film, so we shot very quickly. But it all takes place in one location, this cabin in the woods on a lake with a ghost. So
you had me at Cabin in the Woods. I'm salivating already.
And a ghost,
right? Oh. And I can rent this online. Yes,
you can. Yes,
tonight I'm going to be watching.
Go rent it. I'll get a penny if you rent it.
What I found interesting in reading about you, you did stunt work. You were on Sequest. What was all that like?
Well, so when you're a starving actor, you will do anything, and I mean,
you've got to get in the room. You've got to
right.
Right.
And so you lie, like, I would go on auditions and they're like, hey, can you hang glide? Oh yeah, I just did that yesterday. Never hang glide in my life, right?
I could see you doing that, Tim. I could totally see Tim. Oh yeah, no problem. I can do that.
And then if you get the part, you have to like desperately figure out. But I'm a fish. I was a lifeguard my whole life and a swimmer. And so the first big stunt part I got on TV was there was the show Cops. Yep. And then they had the show, which was real footage. And then they had this show. It was so popular, they created Cop Files. So it was recreations of
those reenactments.
Yeah. And early in my career, when I was in my 20s and I had a lot of hair and was handsome and everything, I played a lot of cops and, naval officers, stuff like that. So and it was fun because I got to do a lot of fight scenes in this cop show. This car went off the road into a lake, and so we spent 4 nights swimming in the lake in wetsuits, saving this person. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
So you know what though, you weren't exaggerating. You really could do those things. I avoided stunts because I can't do them. And we all know stories of the actor that lied. Right, that they put on horseback and ended up breaking things, and then the whole production. Yes. Though I did lie about one thing. It was a Duncan Hines commercial that I had gotten booked for, and I was 6 months pregnant. Oh. They just thought I was chubby, and somebody said to me, "Don't let them know you're pregnant because there's all kinds of liabilities." I didn't know about that. So I lied through my teeth. When the stylist came to put the clothes on me and everything, I told them I was a size 12. I said, I don't like people seeing me change. I'm just funny that way. So she put the clothes in the dressing room, and I come out on the set and they put the counter for me where I'm making the cookies, and I hear the director go, "She looks pregnant." Oh. So he comes over to me and says, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" "Yeah, I'm fine." They're like, "You're not pregnant, are you?" I go, "Oh my God, no." I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. I said, "Here's the truth. I gave birth 3 months ago and I haven't lost the baby weight yet." Well, when you guys know you got to be thick on your feet. And they're like, "No problem." They raised the counter. I made the cookies. We shut the truck. But your story made me think of it. You like, that was like, I felt my grave being dug deeper and deeper with every lie that I told.
Well, I've got so many progressions. So you started, you were living in on the Gulf side of Texas.
Yes.
And like when you were growing up, was your family, were they into movies, or how? I mean, they obviously enjoyed movies if they had family movie nights.
We did. Everybody loved movies, just different types of movies, but we all did like them. And so we would, at least once a week, we would go see whatever was out there.
Once a week is a lot.
Great.
Did you go that often? That's a lot.
Yeah, and what's, I mean, a vivid memory of mine as a child is when, because back then you couldn't see what you wanted whenever you wanted, the way you could.
Exactly.
And I'd never seen Gone with the Wind and had heard so much about it. And CBS did a 2-night showing, and I had gotten in trouble for something and was punished. I couldn't watch TV for a month.
For you.
My mom said, "Okay, we're going to let you watch TV, even though you're punished, these 2 nights because we feel it's important for you to watch Gone with the Wind." And so I was so excited, and I love that movie so much. So it was great.
Quick question. Do you remember what you did to get punished, the TV taken away for a month?
That's
kind of a kid. Right. I mean, what would have been something you might have done?
It's kind of a long story, but
we got time here, Tom. We're on Eastern Standard Time.
I would eat anything as a child. Like, I ate escargot when I was 7, and I had friends who would not eat anything. Like, I had a friend, Patty Doyle, who would only eat a hamburger if it had ketchup and 2 pickles, not 3.
Right.
And I would eat anything, but there was one thing I wouldn't eat, which are lima beans. I hated them then. I hate them now. They're salty. My mom loved them, and I think she had read in like Dr. Spock or something, kids should eat everything on their plate. And I'm a big Justice guy from early as a child. Like if there's an injustice, I fight for it.
Yeah,
that's obvious.
And I was just sick of eating freaking lima beans. And one night I just said, I said, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm sorry.
I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Exactly. And we got in a big fight and I was saying, I will eat anything. This is the one thing I won't eat. It's so unfair.
It's
I
unfair.
Cooks. So she said, as she said later, to her great regret, she said that line you say as a parent, you were not getting up from that table until you finished those beans. And I said, okay, fine. I was 8 years old. And at 6:30 the next morning, she came down the stairs and I was still sitting there just like, and I said,
wow.
I said, am I going to school or am I going to sit the rest of the day?
What did she say when she saw you sitting there?
She said, go take a shower. And I was like, yes. And so I went to school, but then I got punished.
But
I love that.
Can you imagine raising? My thing is like, can you imagine raising that child? Like I had.
Yes, exactly.
No, that is a kid with real tenacity. You know,
absolutely.
But
very determined. Yes,
right, determined. But look at who you are now, and look at what you've done. And really, now that we know this, it all started with lima beans, as far as I'm concerned.
But
force of will.
But there's a huge difference between going and seeing a movie and appreciating the movie, then there's a huge leap to actually creating a movie. Because that's a big leap there. So when did you, as a child, have like access to a video camera or anything and like make your own movies with friends or anything?
Yeah. I mean, I have filmmaker friends here who had picked up a camera when they were 2 and were making movies. I really wasn't, because I was more focused for a lot of my life on acting, which I still love and I still do occasionally when someone asks me to do it. I love doing it. But when I went to, I will say this, mom and dad and I, my mom and I would trick my dad into seeing scary movies. You
had to trick him.
You were a little.
So we said one night we wanted to see this Brian De Palma movie, Dressed to Kill, which is very
yeah, of course. We love that film.
And so Pauline Kael had given it a rave in the New Yorker. And so we said, Dad, he wanted to go see a movie. And we said, we have a perfect movie. It's called Dressed to Kill. It's Pauline Kael gave it a rave in the New Yorker, and this was the kicker for Dad. It has Angie Dickinson in it. And he was like, "Oh, I'm in," because he loves Angie Dickinson.
Oh wow, you used Angie Dickinson. You waved her in front of your dad, right?
Yes.
Police woman.
Right. And legs that went on forever.
And he was livid because it was this horror thriller kind of thing. But that was the first time I saw a movie where the directing in the movie and the use of the camera is so fantastic that I fell in love with behind the camera as well as in front of the camera.
Because there is such a long stretch in there at the beginning with Angie Dickinson where there is no dialogue.
The museum sequence.
Right. And it's done right. It's done with the visuals and the music. Yeah.
And if you watch the movie I directed, The Presents, you will see it was very influenced by it, because our movie, the first 28 minutes has only 30 seconds of dialogue.
Oh my God. Cool.
Which certain people, the Redbox crowd hates. And I understand that. They're like, they're looking for an action thriller and no one talks for 30 minutes. They're like, what the hell am I watching?
I love it.
But it clearly influenced me quite a bit. So.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you've developed a love for film. Didn't necessarily know what the process was to make a film. You did do the acting though, right? Like, were you in plays and stuff in school?
I was in plays and stuff in school, and when I went to college, because acting is such a risk, and your parents want a professional, right? My brother's a doctor, so they got one professional out of.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say that.
But I went to film school, which really isn't that much more great in terms of getting jobs. So my majors in college were English, literature, and film production, because that's what I love. I love books and movies had such an effect on me. So I studied behind the camera in college, and
smart.
My senior year was just thinking, if I don't at least go try the acting, I'll always regret it. So I jettisoned film graduate school, drove to LA, had a blast acting when I was able to, did a lot of commercials, did a lot of local theater.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then I just started making more money behind the camera. And as they say in Jerry Maguire, you got to follow the money. So that is what started paying off for me.
Right,
but you know, I have to tell you, when I look at even a lot of very well-known actors and a lot of the people we know, they act, they produce,
they
write. Everyone nowadays wears every hat. When I first started in this industry, you were going to be an actor only in a certain area. You were going to do film, you were going to do theater, you were going to do TV,
and you were going to do drama or comedy,
and you weren't going to be
musical,
crossing over. And if you went and worked for a production company, like behind the scenes or something, you would be like, oh, I guess it didn't work out. That's how it was many decades ago. Fast forward to the last 10 years where you better be able to do everything. Okay. If you leave yourself out on a limb as only a performer, forget it. It's crazy.
Well, one of my heroes is Sidney Pollack, who I think was an amazing talent. And so I think about him a lot because he started as an actor. It didn't quite work out. He became, one of the most famous directors of all time. But then in the last 10 years of his life, he started acting again, was even nominated for an Oscar, for Husbands and Wives, and was in Michael Clayton. So I'm like, okay, maybe in my 60s and 70s when they come, I'll say how close I am to them, I'll be able to act a little bit.
Well, I think you should write something about you and I being brothers and produce it, and we'll both act in it together.
You got it.
Well, wait, you're going to be Valentine's today.
Oh, yes,
this is very
after the Valentine's.
Film that you.
But I just have one other question about your past and growing up. Your parents, what did they do? What you mentioned was a professor.
My mom was a history teacher first in high school and then in college.
Wow.
My father was a lawyer. Yeah.
Okay.
They both unfortunately died very young. But my dad dropped out of a heart attack when I was 24. He was 53.
Oh my God.
And my mom was incredibly healthy. I mean, it's another long story, but she was 50 when my dad died and remarried to a wonderful man, and he had retired, and they traveled all over the world.
Oh, good for them.
She should have lived to be 100. Her father, my grandpa, on that side, lived to be 97, and even out there quite a few times. But anyway, they went to Nepal and were hiking in Nepal when she was 64. My stepdad was 74. They were very hardy, outdoorsy people, and she caught this weird altitude sickness that it's called high altitude pulmonary edema.
Oh my God! Of course,
slowly fills your lungs, and so she died.
Oh my God! I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, she died doing what she loved to do. Because I imagine as a history professor, and then being able to go see these places that she had taught about.
100%. And they traveled extensively. The second time they went to Antarctica, we were like, okay, you guys, been to Antarctica twice. You've been everywhere. And her favorite place, they went everywhere. But so I've been meaning to go soon. She loved Vietnam. That was her most favorite.
It's beautiful. I've been. Antarctica's on my list. It's very expensive to get there. Yes. I remember the Explorers Club, so obviously those kinds of things appeal to me. Bless your mother that she got to. She lived her dream.
She
absolutely got to live her dream. But she raised a son that you are determined. We talked about that. But how did you become so aware of the less fortunate, where you were so motivated to do something about it?
Well, I will say my parents were great models of giving. Our house was always open to anyone that needed a place to live.
Nice.
Dad made a lot of money, and then when he dropped dead in his mid-50s, there was no money because he gave all the money away.
Wow.
And so I will say, I think, whatever natural predilection I have to try to help people came from them. And again, they were great models of that in our hometown, doing a lot of things for a lot of different people. My mom was, I was not born, but she apparently was really big in the civil rights movement in my hometown. And
totally cool.
So I think that's partly what. So in my house, I operate the same way. I mean, front door, everybody knows they can come in if you need a place to sleep. So I think when the idea of this charity came up, it was just a natural thing that came out of my brain, I guess. I don't know. For me, Mr. Force of will, determination, you see a problem, you have to solve it.
What?
So tell us about that day.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. We read each other's minds, so it doesn't matter who asks what. Go ahead.
The day that the GPS took you a different direction.
It was kind of a natural progression. Yeah, again, so being me, it was the first time, because a lot of people have long commutes in LA, and I never had a very long commute. And all of a sudden, it was a 3-hour round trip commute. So me being me, it was like, I'm going to find a way to shorten this. That's how I'm going to.
Where were you coming from and going to?
I was going from Silver Lake on the east side
down I love Silver Lake,
which is on the west side.
Where?
Sorry, down by LAX, Los Angeles International Airport. And if you take the freeways, it was an hour and a half minimum each way. So I started taking side streets, and the homeless unhoused situation is very different in LA right now. But back then, it was very much relegated to certain parts of town, particularly South Central. And I started driving through these areas and just seeing people in need. And so I thought, okay, what can I do? And you would often, pull off the freeway or pull up to a stop sign, and there would be someone there just with a sign. So it's like, what can I do? And I had learned in my 20s, actually working for an unhoused deacon's office in LA, that sometimes giving money is not the best thing because you're not quite sure what someone's going to use it for. And I was taught by those people who ran that organization, just give food. And if someone says, I'm hungry, and you say, here's some food, that's a great way to solve the problem. And sometimes people will be like, oh, no, that's not what I want. And then they're dependent on something else.
And Tim has personally done that. He does that.
So I just started making bags of food that I would keep in the car to give somebody if they were in need.
That
meant, because I didn't know each day if I would give out 1 bag or 5 or none. So that meant not food I made that morning. So, I was just finding stuff, tuna fish and bottles of water and coconut water. I thought initially protein, which is very important. So I had beef jerky in the bag. And so I just started handing them out. And the response I started to get from people when I gave them the bags was very strong. And so I just kept adding to the bag and started learning what people need. So for instance, there was a man, John, and his wife, Rosa, and their daughter who lived under an overpass. And I would bring them bags quite often. And so I got to know them. And one day I was just talking with John, and I said, hey, so what else do you guys need, or what would be better in the bag? And he got a little sheepish, and he said, I don't have many teeth, so I need soft food. So I was like, oh, beef jerky, bad idea.
Jerky,
right?
Not a good one.
Find something else, So I started adding things that were softer versions of proteins. And after a while, the bag got so big. I'd been doing it for about 2.5 years. I realized, okay, if it felt like this wanted to grow, and the bags were at that point $30, $35 a bag, and I was giving out quite a few. Wow. So I need help financially. So I thought, well, maybe I should just actually turn this into an actual, 501c3 charity.
Right.
So I did a lot of research and talked to a lot of people and got a board of directors, and then we launched the actual charity. So for those listening, again, it's bagsandgrace.com, and it's a tax deductible donation. If you, God bless you, send us some money. And one of the things we've done from the beginning, just to diverge for a second, is that a lot of charities have overhead. So like if you give whatever charity, every dollar you give them, maybe 60, 70 cents of that goes to the thing, and the rest goes to administrative stuff. So far, and the bigger we get, this might change, but so far, 100% of the money that anyone gives and gets the tax donation from goes to the bags.
Nice.
Bag.
Oh my God.
Hold it up for a bit, Tom.
Yeah.
I want everyone to see.
So, we can go through the bag and all this kind of stuff. But
let's go through the bag.
Yeah.
So Bags and Grace, bagsandgrace.com.
Now that's spelled out, right? Bags.
Yes. And that was a good friend of mine actually came up with the idea of the name. And, it makes sense. Bag, B-A-G. So we have good branding. And someone at once said, well, why didn't you call it Bags of Grace? And I was like, well, to me, that kind of is like, oh, I'm giving you grace, which I don't like that idea. The idea here is that the grace goes both ways. In fact, I actually think I'm kind of changed and blessed more than the people I give the bags to. So that's kind of why I liked the name, along with the branding, right? It's
And
smart.
right, because BAG is the initials of Bags and Grace.
Exactly.
Right. I love
Wow.
So
That's a cotton bag. Is that tell us about the bag. It's like recyclable. What is it made
yeah,
of?
all right. So and actually I had started doing this before we turned it into the charity, but as the bags got bigger, I realized I need something bigger and durable. And so I ordered 6 different bags from Amazon, and this is the one I landed on. It's from a wonderful company called Organic Cotton Mart.
Oh, nice.
And God bless them. At one point I ordered 1,000 bags, and they contacted me and they were like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, what do you need all these bags for?" and so I told them, and they said, "Oh, we're going to give them to you at cost." So they actually give us the bags at cost. God bless them.
Wonderful.
Wow.
And that's one of the, if anybody's listening, watching, one of the things we need right now are corporate sponsorships. I buy all this product. So we're here in our warehouse.
You're actually in the, you're actually in the warehouse
The
right
warehouse
now.
right there.
In the warehouse, yeah.
Wow.
Which is another story I can tell you. But we are starting to get, but we really need a lot more corporate sponsorship. So I would love Fiji or Arrowhead to give us. Actually, Arrowhead did give us some water. I get excited, so I can't talk.
I love it.
Starkist would love tuna from them. You know, I'd love Cliff Bars to give us something, because this all goes to people on the street. And the one difference between our charity and others, there are a lot of wonderful charities for the unhoused in LA that have been operating for years. But most of those, if you are living on the street, to get their help, you have to find them.
I would imagine.
There you go.
And so our difference is we come to you. So
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Everything.
it's delivery. It's like Instacart for the unhoused.
right, exactly. Yeah.
That is a brilliant idea.
Now, can you show us again what's in the bag?
Yeah.
What
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let's see. I'm gonna go back. So we have 2 kinds of water.
Nice.
And I kind of get what I can find, but lately Fiji, and there's this wonderful Core that has a really strong bottle.
Yeah.
They might be a good corporate sponsor, Core.
Yeah, and we use Pure Life, which you see also over there from Arrowhead. They gave us a lot of that, which is wonderful. And I pride myself, I don't put anything in the bag that I won't eat. So
Exactly.
I've eaten and tried everything. So we have a protein drink,
Nice.
a Cliff Bar.
These are all
We have these Nature's Bakery fig bars that I love.
Perfect.
We have favorite from my childhood, beefaroni.
I love.
Yes.
We're
love
having
Campbell's.
beefaroni.
Yes.
Beefaroni. Let's see, and chili mac.
Good. Excellent.
Because again, these are soft things that again they can pop open. And so we give
Easily eat, right?
Easily eat, and we
also
give
the man.
silverware.
Nice.
So that
And
you
also
can,
like the man who said he didn't have many teeth. That's great for him.
Exactly. We do a Starkist tuna lunch.
Sweet.
My
God, there's so much in there.
There's a lot. We do. I mean, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. We do coconut water because that's really good for you, electrolyte wise. We do in the winter. I give these Mylar blankets.
That is a huge asset for people.
Yeah. Let's see, trail mix.
Oh my God, this is great.
Peanuts or almonds.
Yeah, good protein.
I like this one, almond butter, also soft, good for you.
Yes.
Justin's, would love Justin's to help us out. Send us a few of those. A favorite from my childhood, but also soft protein Vienna sausages.
Yes.
Let's see what else. We do.
You are jam-packed in that bag.
Yes, you are.
Hand sanitizer.
Sweet.
I found these cool things on Amazon. It's a toothbrush, toothpaste, and a comb.
Yes.
Personal items are very much needed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kleenex.
Perfect.
You do 500 a week?
Usually try it for 500 a month. Now we want to expand. We want to expand into that too. And let's come back to that because there's a couple things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep going with the bag.
Yeah. Hand cream. I found out there's a wonderful charity I work with, which I can talk about later, also called Street Medicine LA, and they were encouraging me to put in socks.
Yes, I was just going to say.
Right, exactly.
Socks.
Yeah.
And I also have I buy a lot of sweat tops and sweatpants. So
Nice.
I was out there on the street a couple of weeks ago, and I met a woman who literally had nothing on below her belly button. She was naked. And so I was able to give her sweatpants and socks, which was a big deal for her.
Absolutely.
We do hand warmers and toe warmers in the wintertime.
Which, I was going to do hand warmers.
It's really cold here. And then and then we also create this bag, another bag within the bag. And this has these amazing body wipes. This company also gives us the body wipes at cost.
Nice. Good.
It's kind of like, they call it a shower in one wipe, and they're wonderful. It's a great company run by these two guys that live in San Diego, and they were athletes, and they came up with this, and they're wonderful. I love those guys. But in here we have a lot of condiments. So mayonnaise and mustard and salt and pepper and hot sauce.
You just thought about anything someone might need to use, but they're also on the street.
Exactly. Emergency. In a way that they can use it. What else? So chapstick. Oh, and the street medicine people were encouraging me. This was a couple of years ago. And I can talk about how I met them. But we also give batteries, because it's surprising sometimes the electronic stuff someone who's living on the street might have. So this helps them also. So that's,
Tom, I did want to also ask you about the street medicine people, because when I was reading your website, you referenced that. Tell us what the street medicine people do.
Well, I met this it's amazing and very humbling for me that when I go out twice a week and am meeting people in just the most wretched circumstances you can imagine, and how many of them still are upbeat and are trying to be hopeful. And I met a young man one time, I think it's about 25 or 6, Mike, and he just had the most beautiful smile, and he was so happy. And I found out that he told me he was living in a tent community along the LA River, and they had a grill. So once I found that out, I was able to bring them hamburger meat and things like that. And I showed up one day, and he held up his hand. He was like, look. And his hand was 5 times swollen. He'd been bitten by a spider. He said, I need to take you to the hospital right now. He wouldn't go to the hospital. And so I said, well, call me if you need something. And he called me. He texted me in the middle of the night. That night, it was like 2 a.m. He goes, I think I'm going to die. This hurts so bad. And I said, okay, I'm coming to get you and take you to the hospital. He's like, I will not go to the hospital. So then I was like, I don't know what to do. And so I went on this, Mr. Force of Will, I went on this journey to see if I could illegally get antibiotics, so I could give him antibiotics, right? And I couldn't find a way to do it. But while I was doing that, I ran into this organization, Street Medicine. And what they are is they're out of County USC, our biggest community hospital from University of Southern California. And they have 2 big trucks, and each truck is like a doctor's office. And so they're doctors. And so they just go park in a big tent community and clean wounds and, give shots. And so I give them about 100 bags a month, at least. I would like to do more so that they can help me distribute them. And then they often give me advice as to what might be better in the bag. So they're a wonderful organization.
Thank you, first of all, because until I read about them, and I'm very aware. I'm on the streets all the time, as Tim is, but I never thought about the medicine thing. I just always assumed they would walk into a hospital, a person that was sick. It never occurred to me a person would be afraid. Of course they would be. They're living on the streets. Right. The fact that they're addressing this and they have these mobile units. Yeah. I've worked in the developing world where they have these things. You're sharing that in the United States of America and in California, in LA, that's so moneyed in so many ways, that you have this kind of give back happening where they have mobile units actually going around to the tented cities to help people. It's a very valuable piece of information that you just shared with us today.
Well, and there so many people, I think, are seeing the problem and are affected by it. So, for instance, another organization I work with is Laundry Truck LA. And that was started by a costume designer. She is a big costume designer in film and TV. And because she often works on location downtown, she also saw the problem. So she's created these 2 big U-Haul vans, and each van has 5 industrial stackable washer dryers in them.
Oh, nice.
So they'll go park. They've got permits from the city. They go park and tap into city water. And then if you're homeless, you can just bring them your clothes and they will clean your clothes. And that's a huge thing, at least for a couple of days to have.
A huge thing. Right.
So they will, when they give the unhoused person their clothes back, they'll also give them a bag. So they help me distribute them also. They're a great group.
I am so incredibly impressed with you and what you're doing. And again, it's, as you are seeing on the front lines, it is so sad that in 2024, that there is such a huge problem.
And it's getting worse. It's just
exactly.
I would imagine
with
the pandemic,
the cost of living and rents and housing and
and to be honest, it is just getting worse in general, but it's exploding in LA because, frankly, if you're going to live on the street, come to LA because you're not getting 20-degree zero weather, you're on the East Coast, and it doesn't rain here that much. We just had a lot, but if you're going to be on the street, if you have to be, LA is an easier place to live than many other places. So I think that's also a reason that our particular homeless population has exploded here.
But isn't it interesting that people, even yourself included, normally take the freeway, do this, and don't even see it?
Right.
A lot of times people will live in their neighborhoods or in their parts of town. And but from what I understand, or something you had mentioned before we went on the air, it seems to be creeping into other areas and neighborhoods where it's like basically in their backyard.
Right.
Very much so. So now if I just stay on the freeways, you see it everywhere.
Wow.
And LA is a place where it is easy for a lot of people, particularly in wealthier enclaves, to just stay in your little neighborhood and you don't get out.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a bubble.
Right.
But because we are up to 80,000 now, I mean, that's twice the size of my hometown. And we had a healthy hometown. It's everywhere. So if you go to even the richer parts of LA, Beverly Hills, Abbott Kinney, Venice, the unhoused are everywhere. And as I was saying, I don't mean to ever attribute goodness to this because it's such a problem. But if there is a good thing about that, it's that in Los Angeles now, there is no way anyone can ignore the problem. And
it's in their face.
Right. Because I hope it will encourage.
What do you think? I mull this through my head all the time because we're in the winter here, and they actually put up now blue alerts. They're called to, if you see someone that's homeless, try and get them to a shelter. It's called a blue alert. But this whole thing with shelters, a lot of our issues here, right? A lot of mental illness, and they're out on the street. So there's that. Yeah. Then they don't want to go to the shelter because they don't feel safe. The shelters aren't safe. In the meantime, the housing that's being built here really in New York is for the rich, not for the middle class have their own problems.
Right.
But we're talking about homeless now. And as a person, I just go through this in my head and I'm like, what do we do? Yeah. Like, I mean, I know what you're right.
What can I contribute or what can I do?
But what can society do? Right. What has to change in government? What has to change? You know, we've got a presidential election coming up. How do we make our country more like Denmark or other places? There are other places, they have homelessness, but not to the degree that we do. What do you feel? I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about this forever. And I'm not as learned as other people that I know.
But you're on the front line.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so a number of things. One, I think just awareness is important. And I think it is very easy for some people, and I was probably like this at one point, to drive down the street and just think, oh, those are a bunch of reprobates. They're crazy people and drug addicts, and there's nothing. There are a lot of schizophrenics on the street. That's a whole issue of why they're on the street and not somewhere. That's a whole issue to get into.
Absolutely.
That we could do a whole show on. But I will say that some of the schizophrenics I meet are the most interesting and colorful people that you would ever talk to. They can be exhausting and sometimes dangerous, but also just really smart and really interesting people. You do have people who are addicted to drugs, but you also have tons of people who have just fallen through the cracks. And like, so for me, my interestingly, my house caught on fire and I lost everything during the pandemic.
Oh my God.
I had no place to live. If I didn't have a support system, I would have ended up on the street, but I have family and friends who help.
Right.
You have a structure, and you're right. You have the family
network.
and friends. Some of these people on the streets, especially if they have mental illness or so far gone with drug addiction. I have a friend, his brother was living in a tent city in Florida, same deal, good weather.
But even not only that, it's just somebody gets hurt and disabled and they don't have disability. Somebody loses their job. I was going to say they have no support system, and once you're on the street, it's impossible to get back because just think, even if you want to get an apartment, let's say you're working hard, you're living on the street, you've saved up a little money, but to get an apartment, you have to have a credit report, you have to have first and last month's rent and a deposit. It's impossible to get that if you are lost and alone on the street. So, so one thing for me is awareness.
Just pertaining to reasons people are on the street. A lot of times people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yes.
That paycheck you get that paycheck taken away a couple times, you're in dire straits.
Exactly. And that's what happens. So I want people to be aware of it. There are all different kinds of people with different problems.
Mm-hmm.
And while I get frustrated because I think the government isn't doing enough, at the same time, I sympathize because the government tends to be built for a one-stop solution.
Absolutely.
But there's no one-stop solution here. You have at least 4, if not 5 types of people on the street, and they each need a different solution.
Right.
And the government now tends to be what's called housing first, and the government will not give money to they wouldn't give money to me because the focus of my charity is not, let's get you in a house tomorrow. And there are a lot of reasons that doesn't even work. The focus of my charity is I need to give people food and water right now so they don't die, so that when they get
exactly.
But so I do sympathize with people in government who do want to make a difference because it's an extremely difficult problem to solve.
Right.
Absolutely.
But there are ways to solve it, and there are a lot of wonderful people, and I have found this out over the last 5-6 years I've been doing this.
Of course.
That there are a lot of wonderful people out there who are devoting their lives 100% to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're trying to help people get off the street.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have a feeling it has something to do with community and some type of help or assistance and allowing the community to kind of build itself.
Right.
And get people back on their feet but I don't know how.
Right.
I don't know what.
But
I
also think like the structuring of I'm going to go back to places in Europe, and people use the word socialist, which has been so overused. Mm-hmm. It's bull. Okay, they're more taken care of. The rents are dealable. There are programs that if you do lose your job, you're not going to lose your house. Right. In the United States of America, you lose your job and you lose your house. If you're lucky enough to have great family and friends who say, like your house burnt down, but you had a structure, they're like, hey, Tom, come stay with us and you have a job. You're an employable human being. Right. We're not dealing with the people that don't have that. And I think we have to, and I'm not being idealistic. I really believe there is a solution, and it will take money. But you know what? We might have to look at capitalism as a whole and see how we can make a capitalist society work for everybody, not just the people at the top. I've said my piece. Amen.
Yeah. And housing is very important. I mean, if you give someone a place to live, it really can change their life. So I understand that focus. And to be perfectly honest, one of my best friends has worked in this arena for many, many years. It's what he devotes his life to. And he has a little bit of a problem with what I do because there are a lot of advocates for the unhoused who believe until there are a lot of people on the street that won't go in a shelter, that won't accept help for a variety of reasons. Okay. And so his view is until someone hits rock bottom and they have to come to me, they won't get help. And so he's like, you're keeping someone on the street. Now we have a completely different opinion of
that
this.
person could die.
You are helping people live to another day.
Right.
But I do understand his view, and housing is very important. And like There's a very wealthy man who just built a tiny house community outside of Austin, Texas. He couldn't do it in Austin because of city permits and stuff like that. That they said he wouldn't let him
do it outside of Austin.
Yeah, but he built this amazing tiny house community outside. It's working very well. Seattle does that. But see, you get into these governmental problems. There's a company in Washington that builds tiny houses for $15,000 and they change people's lives. So at some point in the city of LA, they were like, well, we can do that. But then where are you going to put it? Nobody wants, not in my backyard. Nobody wants it in their area.
Right.
And then when they figured out a way to do it, so we're going to take this parking lot, but we have to permit everything city-wise. By the time they were going to build it, the houses went from $15,000 to $150,000.
It's the red tape. It's too much red tape to get from point A to point B. And we're talking about lives here.
Right.
You're at least driving up with a bag full of stuff that they need. Okay. Well, you know what? It's a big Band-Aid, and that's what they need because they got to get from day to day. And wouldn't it be perfect for a person to hit rock bottom and say, Uncle, okay, I'm going to go to the government? I don't think that is realistic. I've seen and know of the people that you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. You're making it possible for them to have a chance and get through their day-to-day lives. Thank you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. From the bottom of our hearts.
Someone needs to make a documentary about you. That's all I've been thinking about.
Well, that's what I was thinking too with the warehouse there. This is a documentary. This is a film.
Right.
So this was nice.
Any film producers. Hello.
I will say this is relatively new. So I was working this out of my, as I joke, serial killer garage, because I had a garage at my house, but it looked like a typical garage, right? And I realized that the charity was going to expand and I was going to get more product. So if we start getting corporate, like Arrowhead sent us so much water, I couldn't even take it all. Wow. So God bless them. Like we didn't, but so we needed a bigger space. And if I was going to get we're trying to get city officials and Mayor Karen Bass to come see us, I wasn't going to have Mayor Bass come to my serial killer garage. Yeah. But now we look like we are a real charity, but now we look like one too.
Right. Yeah.
And so this warehouse has helped us get a lot more product, and we have a place to operate out of. And but this also costs money. So, and because I would still want, at least for now, all of your money that you donate to go to the bag, I did find some donors who specifically put money in just for the rent of this place.
Wonderful. Well, I was going to say, once you can get more donations and more corporate sponsorship and some money coming in, you can hire some of these people that do not have a home to help you with the deliveries of these things. That's what I mean by community. There's ways that
building community
within the community can start to help itself in a way that way. But what you're doing is just so needed, and I'm so grateful for you and what you're doing. That's wonderful. You are truly changing people's lives.
Thank you. And mine too.
It's such a great for there's so many corporate sponsors that really want to show what they're doing to change things. Word just needs, again, I'm back to the documentary. I always go into channeling. How can we make this bigger? How can we let more people know?
Press coverage.
Right. Tim and I are very aware of all of this, and yet I'm meeting you for the first time today. And that shouldn't be that just because you're in LA and we're in New York, I didn't know about what you did, right? Because what you're doing is huge. Mm-hmm. And maybe somebody here in New York is watching and will say, oh my God, that's a really great idea. We can probably do that too. This kind of thing is infectious. That's why we do this show. Mm-hmm. All right. We want to get it out there. So really, if you're watching, they're looking for corporate sponsors.
Absolutely.
This is a really great way to do good for everybody.
Now, again, I love to say it over and over, bagsandgrace.com. That's
Bags and Grace. And we have the banner, bagsandgrace.com. We ran the there it is.
There we go. Thank you.
Bagsandgrace.com.
And it's 100% tax deductible.
Okay. Now I want you to drop some names. Who do you have behind you in this organization? Who's with you? Do you have?
I mean, we're still kind of small. I have a number of very dedicated volunteers.
Good.
Who come in and help me fill bags. I'm still the main person who distributes them, other than the charities I work with. But I will say I've started getting people to go with me, because what I've found is when people come in and fill a bag, it changes them a little bit. When they get in the truck with me and they go out and give out bags, it changes completely. And a friend of mine, when I decided, okay, I'm going to make this into a legitimate charity, 501c3, a friend of mine said, now be careful, because everyone I know who has done this, it takes over your life. And that's definitely happening with me, right?
That's just what I was going to say also, is don't forget you're a filmmaker.
Right.
Don't forget that, because you need to, that's who you are. And this is wonderful what you're doing, but also you've got to be true to yourself as well.
Right. Yeah. And so I still do that. So this is still a side, and it's not even a job. It's just a thing I do on the side. And when the house burned down, and that's a whole other story.
Well, yeah,
I have to say something, that Allstate is not good hands, and they won't pay me for the house.
The bad hands of Allstate, right?
The most miserable, worthless hands of Allstate.
Wow.
And they actually and so I'm in a big legal battle with them right now. And they actually caused homeless people not to get food, because there was a long stretch where I was having to be so focused on rebuilding the house and finding money to do it, because they wouldn't pay for it, and spending tons of money on the legal battle with them that is still ongoing. I wasn't able to do this as much.
Oh my God.
So at some point I'm going to have fun with them, be like, you took food out of people's mouths.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But so I, because I have many other jobs, filmmaking, editing, all that kind of stuff. I'm a college professor also. I only get out twice a week. And so if we can get bigger and get more corporate sponsorships and donations,
absolutely,
we can also hire some people to help me distribute, and we can just get more bags out there.
Right, right, which is great. We have a number of comments of people that have tuned in today about what you're doing, and we love our listeners.
Well,
thank you.
They tune in and say hello. So Lori Towers, who's a
wonderful
PR woman here in New York, a good friend of ours,
who introduced me to Roger, his PR person.
To Roger, right. Happy Day of Love, everyone. Happy Day of Love for both of you, from Rose Trentman, our dear friend. We got hearts smiling hearts from JC Augustine, who's a playwright.
Lori Towers, this is important. This is just beyond beautiful and what it's all about. Godspeed. See, I love that. My amazing friend Lynn Scannell, hello in Gloucester. Happy Valentine's Day.
And looking gorgeous in your puppy red Valentine.
And our amazing friend Gladiola Gladrags, thank you for this. Lori Towers also wants to know how she can help. I'd be happy to do public relations or anything.
Pro bono,
So you know what? It's about getting the word out. And again, we're on every major streaming platform. So I hope if there is a big corporation or a small one, someone that can help you.
Well, what I see is you're in the film industry. There's got to be people there that should be interested in donating money, donating some time, I would reach out in the network there.
Yes.
And some of them with a name might be able to, it will make them look good. It will get good publicity. It will help to shine a light or get more people responsive and looking in your direction.
Over the next couple of months, we're having a series of open houses here. So this Saturday,
that's brilliant, right?
Good.
In LA this Saturday, you can go to the website, bagsandgrace.com, read about it, get our address. You can come down and fill a few bags and have a cup of coffee and see what we're doing. And then we're having another open house Thursday, March 14th, where we are trying to get some LA Rams players and city officials and
that's what I'm talking about.
Do you have like a flyer I can rip off of your site or your Facebook page that I have a lot of friends in LA. Tim does too.
That we can
I'll put it up on my social media. I know we all know a lot of people,
it's a blog post. I'll send it to you and you can just
great. Thank you.
I can screenshot it or something, and then I just easily can run it on my social media. Okay, just First of all, thank you for what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Now I'm going to ask you for a little patience with me. I tend to go down a rabbit hole when we're having a guest on. Here we go. I go into their
I'm in.
I pull up some trivia, and the thing that interested me about you, there is a film out right now called Zone of Interest, and I bring this film up because it is about someone that had an amazing house with a garden and a family on the other side of the wall of Auschwitz, where he worked, determining who was, what was going to happen. So it is a crazy subject. You loved the film. How did that film make you feel?
It's a masterpiece. I'm a big fan of the director, Jonathan Glazer. Would love to meet him sometime.
Jonathan Glazer is,
he's a great artist. And I have this thing, film nerd. I don't like knowing anything about a movie before I go in, so I don't watch trailers. All I knew about this movie was that it had something to do with the Holocaust, and I actually thought it was about a Jewish family. So I went in with no idea what it was going to be about. And if you're listening, it is an upsetting movie, but we stay outside the walls of Auschwitz, so you don't see anything. There's nothing graphic in the movie. But it took me about 10, 12 minutes watching the movie to figure out who I was watching and what the hell was going on. And it is about the life of this family that the dad works on the other side of the wall, and they live in this gorgeous place right outside the wall.
With beautiful gardens, and it's gotten a lot of press. And the fact that you're a film person, and I know it made an impression on you. I'm dying to see it. I really wanted to bring it up. I think it's an important film because everything we've seen from filmmaking is about what happened in those camps. Yes. No one's done anything about the perfect little world that existed on the other side. How could such a thing exist, right? With the horrors happening on the other side. So Jonathan Glazer's an amazing person. Filmmaker. Yeah. And I can't wait to see the film.
It had a huge effect on me.
Right. Right.
Now, you are also an Emmy Award winner, correct, for editing?
Just nominated.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah.
I don't have the award, but yes, I can say that I was
nominated.
Yes. Excellent. Congratulations. Right. And I have to tell you, editing, I hate.
Right.
The only thing I dislike more than editing is calling people and asking for money.
Those are your two
right? Tim, absolute worst. I mean, people who have made amazing careers, and I have friends, not even in the film industry, they're just masters at asking for money.
Right?
It literally makes me physically sick because that's a whole talk about a rabbit hole.
I totally get it too.
It's a therapy session we can go down. I refuse to get help. If I started having a heart attack it's true. If I started having a heart attack right now, I would not say anything. I would not ask for help. I would rather just die than say, "Hey, you guys called me."
Rather than to have to ask someone for money.
But so congratulations to you on editing, especially. But the editing makes the production. It really makes the production.
I do love it. It's I find it a lot of fun. I mean, it's like a puzzle. You get all this stuff.
It's a puzzle.
How it goes together, so.
Yes. Now, two others. Rob Gould, who is a friend of mine in Fort Lauderdale, who wrote the play Little House on the Ferry. He said, "Good on you for helping."
Thank you.
And Suze Genero from Massachusetts, she's a designer, just said, "Hugs and kisses, great show. Thank you."
Thank you, Suze. She's a wonderful person also. This has just been so fabulous. Thank you for everything that you're doing.
So bagsandgrace.com.
It's a pleasure to meet you both too. I look forward to spending more time with you.
Absolutely.
That's great. We're here.
I can't wait to come out to New York.
Yeah, and you know where to find us, and believe me, people do. And we're out all the time. So
can I say one more thing? All right.
Always. This is your moment.
Well, so once again, these are our bagsandgrace.com. But
those are blue.
We have now it's unfilled. So this is the main bag we give out, but we have bags that are colored that have feminine hygiene products in them. So when we go out,
I was wondering about that.
When we see a woman, we give her these, and they have
perfect
maxi pads and tampons and stuff like that. And I need, actually, I could use, I mean, I'm a guy, I need help knowing what somebody would need. So if people have ideas of what we could put in these bags, that would be great.
I think you've pretty much covered it, except the only thing I could think of might be underwear.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, and you know, we there was if I could say, I was out meeting with some people, and I mean, I can talk about this forever, but I was out meeting some people, and this man had broken his reading glasses, and he couldn't. He was anything. So, and I know we all hate on Amazon, but I was able in one day to get him the exact prescription for $14 that he needed from Amazon.
Amazing.
And while I was talking to him, there was a woman, she was like, I need panties. And I was like, okay, what size? And I got from Amazon the panties that he needed. So yes, that's a great idea. I should start doing that.
Yeah.
100%. Thank you.
Oh my God.
I'm going to do that.
Tom, thank you both for everything that you're doing with bagsandgrace.com, as well as thank you for all your contributions to entertainment, to all that you're doing and all that you're going to do, because you're just continue letting your creative spirit flow and just keep coming up with the ideas and keep doing what you love, which is making movies.
Right. And you keep paying it forward, which is really what it's about. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody who tuned in today. See you next week.
Thank you, Tom Provost.